today we have a guest cameo appearance in this week's Pep Talk of Yaakov Weisberg. Mazel tov, Yaakov. Yaakov's now 7 months old. Hi, Yaakov. Okay. So so this past Shabbat, I went on an amazing trip with my family. We went up to Tsfat. And we visited Miron, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Tsfat, and it was amazing. And when we were in Tsfat this time, I noticed something that I had never. I've been to Tsfat quite a few times. I noticed something I had never ever seen before. I came across a little. I was like walking around along the street. To my left, I saw sort of this very, very narrow passageway. It's barely sort of wide enough, basically, for one person to go down, and it's very, very steep stairs leading down, almost like a ladder. Like it's that steep, like stairs, like a ladder. And the funny thing is that there's a sign right next to this very sort of funny passageway, and it says Tsfat Moshiach. It's called the Messiah's Alleyway. So I thought this was very curious. Like, why of all places would this little narrow, steep alleyway be called Tsfat Moshiach? So the sign next to it explains. There's sort of like this famous story of this woman who lived. I think her name was Geveret Rosenthal, Mrs. Rosenthal, Yocheved Rosenthal, and she lived in the house right next to Tsfat Moshiach, and she used to sit there. She was convinced that the Moshiach, on his way to Yerushalayim, he was going to pass through the holy city of Tsfat, and she was certain that he was going to pass by her little teensy, it's the narrowest alleyway in Tsfat. So she was sure that he was going to pass up all the alleyways in all of Tsfat, whatever. He was going to pass through her alleyway on the way to Yerushalayim. So every night, she would sit there the whole night waiting for Moshiach to come. She prepared a cup of tea and a cup of coffee. I guess she wasn't sure which one he would prefer, tea or coffee, so she had both on hand. So she sat there every night waiting for the Moshiach. So what really struck me about this story is that it's like a bit funny. Like, here's this lady, and she lives. I would understand, like, maybe she would think, if you're waiting for Moshiach, maybe she'd wait by the highway. Maybe she'd wait like by one of like Rehov Yerushalayim, which is like the main street of Tsfat, maybe. But why is she waiting in her teensy little alleyway that you basically can't even pass through? But it occurred to me, like, this is a Jewish mom. A Jewish mom, she loves her home. She loves her home, and she knows, like, Hashem is in my home. This is such a precious place. It's such a special place. Hashem loves his home. Hashem loves me. Hashem loves my children. Hashem is here with me. So, of course, Moshiach is going to pass right by my house on the way to Yerushalayim. This past Shabbat, I went to visit my friend Elisheva, who lives in Tsfat, and as it turns out, I just realized she's right at the bottom. If you walk down the stairs of Tsfat Moshiach, my friend Elisheva lives right at the bottom of the stairs. I hadn't realized that until I did some research on the internet. But Elisheva is an amazing person, and so I visited with her, and I visited her at the very, very end of Shabbat. It was like 5:30 on Shabbat afternoon, and Elisheva B'lei Hara has 7 sons and 1 daughter, and all of them, none of them are married. All of them are, I think, under the age of 16 or 15, and so, visiting Elisheva's house at the end of Shabbat, it's like you can just see, like, it's like a lot going on, a lot of kids, a lot of activity, and the amazing thing was, I walked into Elisheva's house, and she's just glowing. She's smiling, and she looks, even just dealing with all of these 8 kids in like her apartment or whatever, she just looked like smiling and happy and so calm with her kids, and sort of being in like, it was just an amazing, like, she looked beautiful. Also, she wears this beautiful scarf, and she had this beautiful blue dress, and she just looks so regal, and I just felt like, wow, like it makes sense that Tsfat Moshiach is leading up to this woman's house. Like, Hashem is really in this place. Like, Moshiach is gonna pass by this apartment on the way to Yerushalayim. And Elisheva taught me something very beautiful. She taught me, we were reading a little bit, she's Breslov, so we were looking at a little bit of Rabbi Nachman together, and she was showing me that Rabbi Nachman says, that oftentimes when we have to do a mitzvah, then we have to get down in the dirt and in the dung, D-U-N-G. Okay, began down in the dirt and the dung, and to do the mitzvah to serve Hashem. And those mitzvot are so precious. They're like gems to Hashem. They're so precious and beloved to Hashem. And it just seems so. And both of us like commented like it's such a perfect thing for a Jewish mom to read, because so often we're down in the dirt and we're down like looking at Elisheva, like what Elisheva has to do to make Shabbat. Like by the end of Shabbat, she has like both of her sinks are piled high with dirty dishes. There's the dirt and the dung. I think Elisheva she's probably been changing diapers. I think probably non-stop for 15 years. I think probably for the past 15 years she's had a baby in diapers. Blian hara. But we're down in the dirt, and it's so precious to Hashem. Like when we're taking care of our kids and we're raising them, and we're trying to be happy and calm and being good, giving Jewish mothers to them. Like what a blessed place, what a blessed place your home is. When you can be like that, when you can be a mom like that. So when I got back to Yerushalayim, we got back really, really late at night, and I noticed something that made me happy. I noticed that on the way up to my house, our house was built around the same time, or I don't know if it was, but it's around the same period as maybe when the Tsfat's old city was built. At least it has like the same look. It's also like sort of narrow alleyways and sort of this old kind of feeling like an old narrow alleyway kind of place, just like Tsfat. So when we got back to our little street, sort of an alleyway kind of street, and I realized that there's a little pathway leading up to our house, and it's a pathway about as narrow, I think, as Tsfat Moshiach. It's pretty narrow, and I looked up and I noticed like it's like a little slice of sky. It's my little slice of heaven. It made me feel so happy. Like that there again. I hope that I'm going to merit that Simchat Moshiach. When Mashiach goes to Yerushalayim, he should also pass by this Jewish mom's house. That I should be the kind of Jewish mom who should give a lot of nachat to Hashem, to Kadosh Baruch Hu. But Simchat Mashiach should be leading up to my house. I want to bless all of you Jewish moms. That I know lots of times like we're down in the dung and we're down in the dirt. And we're doing our best to take care of these kids. It's not always easy. It's not always the most pleasant and easy thing, but that each and every one of you should merit that Simchat Mashiach should be leading right up to your house. And bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing, amazing week.